Don't get nervous. All right, I think that we are live. It is live. So if you all want to share the live stream, please go ahead and do so. And welcome everyone who's watching. It's so good to be here with the Passaic County Racial Equity Council and Al Therese, my co-facilitator and partner in this journey. We are super excited to be sharing with you the work that we've been doing over the last 8 months. And yeah, so before I do a little bit of a PowerPoint to share with everyone what we've been doing, Al Therese, you want to say anything?
Well, I definitely want to say thank you, everybody that's really, took the time out to really rock with us for 8 months, really come together as a collective, as an energy, collaborate and partner up with our energy to really dive deep into a headspace that really is not a common space to have a diversity of people really engaged. So I want to thank everybody that's been here for 8 months. Thank you, each one of you. And also your family and friends and individuals who took the time out to come join us today as we talk about this trek that we've been on together, the ups and downs of really trying to get a headspace around where our world, where our country, where our society is going, and knowing that we have a legacy that we're leaving behind to our children, grandchildren, family, and friends. So we want to thank everybody for coming out and paying attention to what some ordinary people want to talk about, some extraordinary things that can happen in this world, in this country, and definitely the state of New Jersey that we live in our state county of Passaic. We want to thank all that energy from organizations, from parent leaders and community leaders who took the time out to pay attention to, once again, just the energy we wanted to share as a collective. So we're going to have a great hour of continued engagement, talking about what we've been through, what we've seen, and just, once again, being mindful that it takes one day at a time to get to the change we're looking for. Heather, where we going now? Where we going from here? What's next?
All right, I'm gonna share a little bit of a presentation with folks who are watching about what we have been working on, and a little bit about who the Growing Edge is and who is Parents Engaging Parents.
And while Heather's putting that up, please, any questions, any comments, please put into the Facebook. We definitely want to hear from you guys. We want to definitely share the love.
So first, I want to share and say this Racial Equity Accountability Council is happening as a result of a grant from Passaic County Division of Mental Health, Department of Human Services, Division of Mental Health. And so we're really grateful for the opportunity to do this work and for the support from Passaic County. And the vision that they had to find funding to create and support systems of racial equity. And so when this became available, it was they had to find funding to create and support systems of racial equity. Sorry about that. So when we came together for this grant, the vision was really, how do we bring together organizational people, and folks in the community. Um, and so because of the relationship that I have with Altarise and he has with me, it was something that we started talking about. And so I'll give you a little bit of background on myself and the Growing Edge, and then pass it over to Altarise and he can tell you about Parents Engaging Parents. And so I am Heather Batten, and about 7 years ago, I founded the Growing Edge, really out of the desire to build community and to build collective, um, especially for white folks, because I'm white identified, on talking about anti-racism and talking about racial equity. And so this is work that I started doing probably about 20 years ago in college. As anyone who's probably listening knows, that talking about race and racism is really difficult. And also as a white person, it was something that I was completely unfamiliar with up until college. And so I really have had the wonderful experience of having people in my life, especially folks of color, mentor me, support me, guide me, and also direct me back to my own community, in that it's something really important for me to work with other white people. And that has really been one of the most difficult journeys that I have been on, because it's something that I've had to face my own conditioning, face my own beliefs, face my own culture, and wonder why things are the way that they are, and start to tease out what are the things that I really want to continue and what are the patterns that really are not helpful. And at the same time, I'm a social worker. And so the mission that I've had is in most organizations is helping people, and then seeing that the systems that we have set up to help folks, and as much as their missions are to empower, to enlighten, to heal, the outcomes don't always look that way. And so finding my way through that and finding other people along my journey who also see those same challenges, and figuring out ways for us to come together and make the changes that we need. And so that's where really where the work of the Growing Edge came out of. And partnering with other people and providing education and providing support, because this is a really difficult journey to walk on. And I think as we go on tonight, we'll kind of see how important it is to have relationships and be in community with other people. So that's all I'll say right now, and I'll pass it over to Altarise, and he can talk a little bit about Parents Engaging Parents and his own journey.
Thank you, Heather. Definitely, thank you. Um, First of all, I want to once again just give a energy of what our mission is at Parents Engaging Parents, and that's to promote civic awareness and proactive community action based on the interests of parents and community leaders. And what is Parents Engaging Parents? Parents Engaging Parents, our aim is to challenge ordinary people to identify the problems facing in their communities and in their cities, and connect those parents and organizations to multiply their power and mobilize people to bring about, real measurable change. Launched in 2017, Parents Engaging Parents, we have rapidly become this one of the, parent energies that want to have parents at the table, yet also have our own table of engagement to bring our knowledge base to a place where real decisions towards the interests of parents and communities are really felt. And one of the ways we come to a level of thinking across the network of Parents Engaging Parents is really build a beloved community, really take it from where Martin Luther King thought about bringing the love for community building and the gifts that your creator that you have, and really bringing that to the table, not having a world full of titles and empowerment, but really having people bring what naturally belongs to them to the table. So with Parents Engaging Parents, that came about, and it really helped a person like myself meet a person like Heather. And regardless where our academic prowess may be, regardless where we might have gone in our own individual successes, trials, or tribulations, we were able to really connect because we have a common place. And that's really the element of understanding the natural being of humanity and really wanting to see that grow. And we know love for community and gifts that we have helps initiate that. So parents engaging parents really came out of organic base of parents really seeing that the leverage that we have as parents and our children going to schools and being a part of so many organizations, so many systems, that we have a lot more to say and a lot more to do versus what has commonly take place. And we definitely know that in those systems, there's a systemic element and that we've been blessed to be a part of in this trek to really bring home the racism and the culture that really plays a key in what's going on. So this is going to be an amazing evening to really hear a diverse group of people speak on this. Yet I want to thank Heather for understanding and seeing the opportunity for us to come together and bring organizational leaders, parent leaders, and community leaders together to have an 8-month journey on togetherness.
Thank you, Altarise. So I think, I mean, this has been a really beautiful way to bring folks together. And what we did over the last 8 months, and this, I feel like this slide doesn't even really totally cover it, but hopefully people, over the next hour will get a sense, not just from hearing from us, but from hearing from the council members of, the depth of what we did. But we met on Zoom for 16 meetings. So twice a month, sometimes it was 3 times a month. And did a lot of learning and a lot of talking about race and racial equity. And there was also 2 workshops that we hosted, one from Racial Equity Institute, one from Decolonizing Therapy, on racial equity in systems, on decolonizing mental health. And so we have 15 council members, and like Altarise was saying, are made up of community leaders and mental health organizational leaders in Passaic County. And we also wanted to give a shout out to the organizations here that are represented. So we have folks from Eva's Village, folks from St. Joseph's Hospital, the mental health department, and Newbridge Services. And just really wanted to, thank them for showing up. Our meetings were in the evening. Oftentimes that is not the hours that they're working, and they still made the commitment to come so that they could be in connection and in community with the community leaders and folks who are not at their jobs or not working at that time, so that we could all connect, which is really, really important and not something that often happens. So, and, something that is really important, and, we put it in the title of the council, right, is accountability. And so this is a really important piece of anti-racist work, of racial equity work, that maybe sometimes gets distorted or not understood. And really having the connection of the community leaders with the organizational leaders together was such an important piece for developing and this idea of accountability beyond what we understand. So I know when and I've said this like at work sometimes when I go to work and someone wants to start talking about accountability, I don't really want to hear it. There is, maybe we've been socialized, or the way that like our typical culture presents accountability is punitive. It feels like not that nice, right? It's when someone's going to let us know that we're doing something wrong. And while there's a piece of that, right, when we're talking about racial equity and racism, we have to identify that there's a problem here, something's wrong, and it needs to be righted. We really, over the last 8 months, have expanded using this article. And for anyone that's listening, you can Google it. It's called Accountability in a Time of Justice. And using this as a framework to really expand accountability and what that looks like in the time of racial justice and building racial equity. And so what they talk about is that accountability is the way in which white people and communities and systems repair the oppression um, and um, and what has happened to those who have less power, um, and those of us that have more make an attempt to repair that. And there's lots of different components to that, right? So it's not just this punitive, like, okay, fix it. And we know that our systems are so entrenched and we've been socialized in such a way that there's a lot of layers to unpack there. And so we spent a lot of time over the last 8 months unpacking these different components. One where we're understanding that race is constructed, right? And there's a power imbalance, and at the top of this power imbalance is white. And so that is just history. If we look back at how race has been constructed and how it has been codified in our country, that's just the facts. And that's the way that it was set up. And so that's part of what we spent some time understanding that history. We also want to develop a sense of solidarity, right? That we are in this work together, that we are supporting those who have been most impacted, lifting up their voices, their lived experience, and also building authentic relationship with each other. And I think in our time together tonight, you'll see the authentic relationship that has been fostered, that has been developed, that has come out of our time together. It's also really important as a part of accountability, right, is to develop a level of our self-awareness about our own socialization. And we spent a lot of time understanding what is that process of socialization that happens in this country? What is our culture? Namely, what is white culture? And how has that impacted us? And starting to see and develop our awareness around that. And recognizing that people are at different places along their journey on recognizing that. Oftentimes those of us that are white, this is the first time we're having that conversation. And oftentimes people of color have been aware for a very long time. And how do we navigate through that when we're at different places on our journey? And so some of that is like building systems of mutual support and having boundaries, right? So when do I need to step back from this? When do I need to ask for support? When do I need to have some boundaries and kind of say, I don't, this is not a conversation I need to engage in because it's triggering for me. And maybe I'll let someone else step up who is not as triggered. We also have a set of collectively created values and principles. How do we operate together? What are the values that we have? How do we want to treat each other? Because as much as we all, signed up to meet together for 8 months and understanding that we wanted to address racial equity, we all come with a lot of different ideas of what that is. And so how do we make something that is all agreed upon, that is a touchstone that we can go back to? And ultimately understanding that we are doing all of this, not just as an intellectual exercise, not just as something that is feel good, although it is really amazing to have built these relationships and to connect with each other, but is something that ultimately is our responsibility to act and change the system. And that's, where the accountability comes in as well. So we just wanted to frame that out for us again, and as a guide stone for those of us that have been together and why we've been doing this, and also for all of y'all that have been listening, to take forward in your conversations and your understanding of this work, that accountability is really important, but how we operationalize accountability is also extremely important. And so the topics that we covered, and I kind of touched on them a little bit already, were vast, right? This is a deep conversation that we've been having. It's a lot of information. And I think, what I have found in my organizing over the years is that it takes a long time for this information to percolate and for us to peel back the layers and understand how we've been impacted. And doing that inside of a collective, inside of a community where there's multiple perspectives, really helps that information penetrate. And so what we've done over the last month is talk about what is the group process and how do we build relationships with each other? Because oftentimes, in at least my training inside of like organizations, is very transactional, right? Of like, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? And then we move on to the next thing. And so what does it really mean about listening, like checking in with each other? How are we doing? What is our going on in our lives? How do we understand, yeah, like Altrice was saying, who we are, just at the core of our humanness? And starting to understand also how we've been socialized, right? What is our the process that happens? What are the institutions that do that? And then where is power lying in our systems, and how does that perpetuate systemic racism? And then what is our role, right? If we're inside these systems, understanding that even though we may not agree with the outcomes, right? That perhaps that we want racism to end, we want there to be racially equitable outcomes, and yet we're still working in systems, and we know it's really all of the systems, right? It's not just one organization that we can pull out. It's all of our systems that have inequitable outcomes. What is our role in that, being inside these systems, as gatekeepers, and how do we shift our position around that gatekeeping to change outcomes? So we spent some time defining racism. So I think, this last year or 18 months, there's been so much conversation on race and racism. And I think, there's a lot of people, maybe it's the first time, and there's a lot of people that are like, where has everyone been? Like, why aren't we talking about this? This is a 500-year-old problem. And so there's a lot of folks who can give you a dissertation on what it is. And also, oftentimes, there's a lot of different definitions out there. And so it's been really important to our conversation to develop a common definition, and what do we all agree upon, and how does that relate to power, right? How does that relate to systems? And it's not just individual acts, that it is a systemic operation based in history of a power imbalance. And not only does this exist inside of our systems, this exists inside of us, right? And so we've developed that self-awareness that we were talking about, and how this is operating inside of us, and how we can perpetuate it potentially, and how that happens differently depending on the racial group that we are a part of. Also, we really looked at what is whiteness, what is white organizational culture, that's the dominant culture of this country, and not in a way that is necessarily looking at people who have come to be known as white and vilifying them, but also those of us that are white on this council starting to recognize and look at what it is that we have been a part of, that we have signed up for, and maybe not knowingly been socialized, not knowingly aware that we've been socialized into it. So we spent a lot of time talking about that as well. And then over the summer, we started talking about intergenerational trauma and how that relates to systemic racism, and how that process then passes down this trauma generation to generation, and what are the historical events that have carried through, and that are also inside of our bodies, that then impact our relationships with each other. We've also looked at then what are policies and practices, and what are ways that we can start to assess changes inside organizations to produce different outcomes. We've looked at really the importance of accountability to community and circled back to that, right? And it's why we've had these meetings in the evening, to make sure that community members from Passaic County can be part of the meetings. It's why we've spent a lot of time talking about accountability and defining it, and understanding how do we work as organizations, how do we build those relationships with community, and start to listen to and share power with them, as Altrice was talking about, in terms of parents engaging parents and their core mission. And I think that's why it's been such an important piece of like the partnership between the Growing Edge and Parents Engaging Parents, is to build in that accountability, build in that sharing power, build in the collective organizing piece of what we're doing. And lastly, we've looked at like, what are the organizing strategies that we can work through together to build power, to build community, to make changes in the systems that we all want to see, right? That we're all here showing up for 8 months for, that y'all who are on this live listening, um, we all really want to see these changes. And what do we need to do? How do we need to go about doing that? So the three main goals that we set out to accomplish for this council were to develop a shared analysis of systemic racism, to build authentic relationships amongst the council members, ones that would last beyond just our time together over these 8 months, where we can really start to have trust and work with each other and collaborate and learn and be vulnerable and transparent, and show up in our full humanity. And also to learn and figure out ways that we can take action to address racially inequitable outcomes. And so in a little bit, you'll be hearing from the council members more about their takeaways from these goals and how this has impacted them. So I will turn it over to Therese for the next part.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for that and that walk through the journey that we took together. And we want to now share in your own words of what Heather just gave us an experience of, and what you've shared back with us organically, how engaged and insightful it was, how I enjoy her honesty, how I would like to stay in touch and collaborate in the future. Really sharing how we felt about the energy of this engagement, this learning, but also how we talked about and felt about each other in this mission, open to sharing about difficult topics, motivated, emotionally invested, understanding as much as we're diverse, we had great points of views coming from wherever it came from, held the group together in multiple occasions because it was some ups and downs. It was definitely some struggles with the ability to really grasp what we've been lived in and striving through and for years. So when we talk about how great the facilitation of this was, it also helps me and Heather know that as much as we really buckle down to make this as impactful and thorough as possible, we wanted to really make sure that we had a center of self and of humanity as we engage. You can see the next slide.
And I'll just add, as I'm changing the slide, folks were saying great facilitation. And also, we met for about an hour before we came on live, and the group was facilitating itself at this point, right? That the relationships were strong enough that people were calling on each other and saying, oh, so-and-so, you go next. And which is a beautiful thing.
And that continued throughout, as you speak, throughout the whole journey, as even when we met earlier today, it was just so natural. And even the first one I see here, create an atmosphere where people could share their fears and insecurities. And so that was where this, it went past a safe place. It became a place where, you wanted to come every Tuesday. You wanted to come and make sure you engage and encouraging other peers, to see. I loved her transparency, not afraid to provide personal insight. These are the things and the words that we're giving about each other. And that's what was so powerful when me and Heather really sat back and put this together. And for tonight, to really see organically what you guys were saying about each other. Wisdom, I could go to them for advice. People knowing that outside of the circle and the council we had on every Tuesday, that offline, there was an opportunity and a desire to want to still engage each other to help build in one's, other endeavors, and that's when it's a powerful circle, very passionate. Oh man, many nights people coming, sharing exactly, where they stand from and the space being open for that, so to motivate, to bring material into this organization. That was deep, yet a beautiful community. That right there, and Heather, help me out when we talk about the beauty of this community. How we started with a little more than we have here tonight. Yet what we have here tonight, this powerful 16, this beautiful community of 16, this beloved community of 16, really means so much to the work that's going to be done. Heather?
Yeah, agreed. Um, it's just I really love reading these words from people, um, because I think it says a lot about the relationships that have been built, um, and the um, the experience, that I'm gonna like quote someone and misquote them, but they're, who says it, that like it's, you remember how someone makes you feel, right? Not the words that they say, but the way that you make them feel. Um, and right, am I misquoting that?
Maya Angelou.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. Um, and so even though these are words on the screen, right? I mean, what they're denoting is really how we have felt over this 8 months together. And it hasn't all been an easy road, right? I mean, we've had really difficult conversations, and there's been time periods where people have been like, ugh, like, I don't know about this, or shared, like, I don't know if I wanted to come back, or I don't really like what you're saying. And yet, we're here together at the end feeling, like there's honesty and transparency and a level of connection. And I think that says a lot about this group and how it has come together and how we've been able to create, the structure and an environment to share honestly.
And also other, in their own words, quotes and thoughts that came up, intersection and lived experience was viable. That, we seen that unfold itself many a times over this 8 months. Honesty and transparency as leaders and administrators was so refreshing. To really have organizational leaders be really transparent to what they know and don't know, to really be open to understanding at the end of the day, we have to start with humanity as we build and continue to make decisions in whichever capacity we are. Great insight was brought and clarity. Oh my goodness, how many times we were able to give literacy moments where, hey, I might not really got to understood what you were saying, or even the way it was said, but took that time to really smooth out exactly where an individual or where the subject was going. Fire and desire to flip the game upside down. What is it, 16 change agents up front and personal in front of you guys tonight. 16 people who said, I'm going to keep coming back every night. And like Heather said, go through whatever learning curves, or, not to be corny, but to really push that growing edge, to really see how we can continue to build our capacity. Speak from a place of concern for her community. Oh my goodness. When you guys were able to take it back to where you were from and where you didn't know you were from was so important too. Using her wisdom to uplift everyone in the group. I think that was mentioned a couple of times from several different people. And shout out to my brother Gage and Will. We understand when we said her, it's a multiple of different people, but who this could have been said about. But I was blessed to see that was said a couple of times about people in different words. But you guys share so much wisdom to uplift each other every month. Was so impactful, and we were able to really turn that into a glue to make sure that we on our own came back every Tuesday. Some people it could have been a burnout, but you guys continue to come. I go back to that fire and desire to flip the game upside down. And then when I go to the desire to really have knowledge, can't go no further. Everybody here really decided to come here to really have the power to do something in their individual space. And they knew they had to start with the knowledge. As much as you want to get some action going, we knew that we had to have a space of understanding, of knowledge that, and we shared this many times, matter of fact things we didn't know. Matter of fact things that may have got past us or may not even got introduced to us. But at the end of the day, the desire to really have knowledge was so groundbreaking, and hence why we stand here together in unity as and with this council, almost not almost 8 months later, almost going through a whole year together, pretty much. So these are your own words. These were words that when you guys were asked to give an understanding about each other, these are the words that came. These were what you were saying about each other. And the funny thing is, you guys were saying it all the time. Every Tuesday that we came together, this is what you guys were sharing with each other. And to see that you guys put it on paper for us to be able to share it back to you, to give you guys your flowers for really taking this journey, because it's really, and people shared it. It's really a tough road in certain hours and certain days. And then so many things happen to you guys personally, in your own lives. You kept coming. So I'm thankful, and I'm proud to be able to share your own words to how you felt about this. Yet I'm even more excited how you're going to take, several minutes to give a more detailed element of in your own words. So, Heather.
So this is like one of my probably all-time favorite quotes or sayings, that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And every time I hear it, it gives me chills. And I used to not really like understand why. It was just like a body, like a, reaction that I had. And I think, um, this being with this group of people and this council for the last 8 months, is been the seeing that realized, right? That we don't have to wait for those who are, maybe lifted up in the media, or the president, or politicians, or, people who have like all of this like power that we look up to, and maybe sometimes give away our power to, that we all have access to our own power, and that when we come together, the power that we have, and that we are the ones that we've been waiting for, right? That we can come together, we can connect, and we can make a change right now. We don't have to wait for anyone else. So with that, I am really excited to share. I just took the thing off and I like see everyone's faces and I want to like cry because y'all are awesome. So I'm just really excited for everyone to get a chance to hear from y'all. I'm so grateful and proud to know you. And I'm gonna cry. So yeah.
So before I have to start crying, she's on the switchboards. We want to definitely, and I want to take the opportunity to also deeply thank you guys again. And as you guys go into just sharing, your truth, your experience with, some of the people you've invited, and just some of the people who just came in to take a listen, to really, take a look at the goal. What was the goal? We just spoke about it. How really taking our understanding about the systemic racism to really take the opportunity to come together and really be authentic in this coming together. Really seeing each other where we at, not having a problem when, we might not know where certain things may be happening, and may not have known about certain history facts. But we were willing to still be authentic in this relationship with our council members, with this team. And then nobody was hesitant to really understand that there had to be action. After all of this, after 8 months, we definitely have understood that there has to be some action. But we know Rome wasn't built in a day, so we know the action plan couldn't get created overnight. but we know that when we testify to that, we're going to be consistent and continuously building. So I want you guys to take an opportunity to think about and talk about the goals of this collaboration, and really be really straight to it, in the sense of understanding it was a shared environment, it was authentic, and we know that action is going to come out of this power. So I'm gonna take the time, and I really sat back today and I said, you know what, I'm not gonna have you guys pick each other. I'm gonna really take the time and really ask you guys to ride with me on this ride as I select you guys, because I know you're ready. Everybody's ready. I know you're anxious. I know you're ready to go. So I'm gonna start it off with, and I have to start it off with, someone I love dearly because of their drive and their passion, and we're gonna set it off right. So come on, Ashley, let's talk.
I knew you were gonna pick me. The being a part of this committee has really been beautiful because, a lot of times as Black and Brown people, we don't even pay attention to the traumas that we all hold within us due to the systematic oppression that is put upon us based off of the systems that were built around America, and how on our day-to-day lives we think we're being authentic, but ultimately we're just abiding by the rules that the systems have created to keep us where they want to keep us. So with this racial equity accountability, I say team because we've all built a team around us, and a family. We've really learned to love each other. We've engaged with each other and really have experienced so many of our own truths and have built understandings. We've shed tears together. We've laughed with one another. We've been talking and engaging since February. So we've grown with one another. And it's been so divine to really understand all of our perspectives from an authentic point of view, and really get to unpack the knowledge that was necessary for us to unpack, whether it be, our religious practices, our spiritual practices, our work ethics, our just our experiences from childhood all the way through adulthood, us being parents. It was so important for us to really understand where life has brought us to until the moment where we all began to collaborate and unpack this unseen truth that is not shared in society. So it's been amazing to grow with one another, and I'm really looking forward to the work that we're going to be doing after this with the relationships that we've built when it comes to taking the knowledge and wisdom that we've received and really spreading that to our communities of people that we're building relationships with, not only where we live, but just personally, our friends, our family, people that we engage with on a daily basis. So it's a blessing to have worked with everyone, and I'm most definitely honored to be a part of this team. So thank you.
No, thank you, Ashley. Definitely thank you for your commitment and your work, and your desire to continue to champion this work and other spaces, as this is important. And as Marianne can attest to you and to all of us, the importance of how we were able to take this information and use this information and really build a productive life for ours and our community. Marianne, talk to me about your experience and your passage with us in these 8 months, and how we aim to go to this goal of authentic engagement and relationship building towards understanding about the systemic power that plays. Talk to me, my sister.
Thank you. Prior to my joining this group, I studied hard, but my study was mostly reading books, listening to people on TV and other media, and getting an understanding of, say, for argument's sake, the microaggressions that happen multiple times a day to people of color. But actually, it did not come alive to me and wasn't real to me until we started in this group, till we built relationships, until I understood it from people I've gotten to know, from people I could touch, even though it's on Zoom. And I'll give one example. Just a few weeks ago, we were in a breakout group, and it was a group of just women. The breakout group from this group was a group of a few women. And we were talking about racism in the workplace. And we were talking about how women of color do not, despite seniority at a job, do not have the same voice and the same power that a white woman has. And how not only is that a microaggression, but how it is just baked in the cake. That and it didn't go as far as like, will I lose my job as a woman of color for speaking out? Although maybe it would mean losing a job. So that was eye-opening to me. And I think listening over these last 8 months to people of color as a white woman myself, understanding the fear and the exhaustion of trying to, quote, fit into a white world and to not be slapped in the face, whether it's through macroaggressions, microaggressions, just that total exhaustion and humiliation. I'm going to say too, those are my own words. Someone, I think it was May or someone who said exhaustion, but it's got to be demeaning. And that's been an eye opener to me. And I feel I'm living it to the extent I can through you all.
Thank you for that. And thank you for even sharing that story and that experience. And, and I'm gonna go to you next, Carlene. As we work and continue to do this work, I really thank you for sharing how, you continue to work through this and sharing that message of what women go through, like you said, black or white, black women go through, and being willing to hear that. I think that it speaks of values for where you're going and where we're going together, as willing to listen and willing to pay attention. So Ms. Dean, share with us how, this 8 months worked on you.
It's been one of the most amazing experiences that I've been lucky enough to enjoy. Coming into this, it was a far more academic concept for me. It's one thing doing some reading and understanding something. It's another thing having individuals who are truly vulnerable about what their personal experiences are and what that means for the greater community. And hopefully I've been trustworthy with that vulnerability, because I think the ability to empathize with each other really helps develop the understanding about what kind of harm is really done to our community and our society as a whole through essentially the principles of colonization. And that's very valuable from an organizational standpoint, especially as people who deliver or aspire to deliver meaningful services to people in need of assistance, but also for myself as a parent to hope that, for the next couple of generations, that maybe there's a better future where there is more equity in this world and a better level of understanding of the harm that's done to people of color. So it's been very, very emotional. This is probably the best word.
Thank you for that. Definitely thank you for that. And I once again, I'm going to thank you all, because you all really took the time. And Maggie, you're definitely going to be next, because as someone who's been around this work, we had three three women who shared their experience through this, and I would like to, have your opportunity to share what you also experienced in this 8 months as a person who has been around this work for some time, yet your desire to be a part of this circle is obviously tremendous. So share with us a little bit, Maggie. You're on mute.
Thank you, Altrice and Heather. Yeah, this has been really good for me personally because I think I've had time to really listen in a way that like a weekend long workshop or a day long workshop doesn't really let you do. In these kinds of workshops, and I've been to many of them, we kind of get blasted with a lot of information and a lot of knowledge and a lot of analysis, and then the workshop's over and we go home and we kind of shelve it. This has been a different experience, and to me a much more valuable experience. First of all, to be able to listen in non-judgment of one another, and then to be able to reflect over 2 weeks or 1 week, to what we call in yoga rest and digest. So we have time to think things over and to maybe apply and to remember things, experiences that we've had. It's been both heady due to the great information that we've gotten, but also very heart opening. Often so many of us are in our heads because we are very vulnerable, and we stay in our heads to protect ourselves. But we don't realize how conditioned we are, for 500 years, that conditioning, that historical conditioning, that historical trauma, how powerful that is. So what I just feel like this work, these 8 months have helped me to kind of decrease that space between the head and the heart. Like maybe that distance is a little bit less now. And I just love seeing everybody's faces week after week, and our check-ins are so beautiful because we can be honest and vulnerable, and we can cry, and we can find out who's having a baby and how people's kids are, and what you did on Saturday, which has been very sustaining for me. So I want to thank everybody. And I know that we will be together again maybe in a different context. Maybe we'll have a party. But thank you, everybody, for always showing up.
And thank you too for consistently showing up. And as we continue to share, I would like to ask you guys to, take the opportunity to like, the video, share the video, make sure that, we give this information away for free, because at the end of the day, in our community, we can't keep selling the game. We got to give it away to a certain level. So let's go ahead and share and like the page and let the people know what's going on. My brother William, talk to me, my friend. What's been going on? This 8 months you ran with me in this experience, and I thank you for coming on this journey. So how's it been for you in this 8 months as we share amongst this circle? And guys, I see we pressing 8:25 right now, so I know we're gonna go over. And so I want to respect your time and everybody else's time. So if we can share in a space where we'll be able to get some good time in and not really take too much of your time. I really thank you. So William, talk to me. How's it been? 8 months, racial equity. You're on mute.
My brother. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure being here. It's been a roller coaster of emotions for me. Every 2 weeks, different emotions help me understand myself, helping me to understand systems that I've been working in, helping me to understand or be more aware of first understanding basically the construction of race, going back to the history and how it was just set up for imbalance power for white. And this committee, the realness of this committee, and this committee being made up of an imbalance of not just black and brown, but people, the white people in this committee, the what I'm looking for, how transparent they were, and really was impactful. And like you said, there were some intense meetings at times that we had because of the how transparent everyone was. So so every week was different for me, but basically I walked away understanding structural racism, and how first had to understand the systems that I'm in. I walk away from this more knowledgeable in being able to identify racial inequity in different systems that I'm a part of, and first understanding the trauma in my life growing up in different parts of the world in the South. And we had a week where we talked about that. And I remember that whole 2 weeks after that meeting, touching base and you know, when things happen to you when you're 16, 17, 18 racially, you can bury those things, but you didn't realize how it has shaped and molded my movements and how I've dealt with racism over the years. So that was a very impactful meeting for me. And it has helped me to first, you cannot start making a change until you deal with some things within yourself. So on so many levels, this committee has been great for me. Understanding history, understanding systems, understanding dealing with myself, dealing with who I've been, how has this impacted me, understanding why I move the way I move within the systems that I've been in. And at the end, now help me to understand how I'm going to move, because I have a better understanding of self, and I have a better understanding of the structure that I'm working in. And at the end of the day, I'm no longer alone. I got a family now that's 15 strong. So I'm stronger than I was when we like Voltron. You know, I'm much stronger than I was when I came in here. I have a better understanding of self. I have a better understanding of how this world, how this system, and I have people I can call on. I can call on Heather B and Uncle Al anytime. So I'm a much better person because of this committee, and I feel much stronger because of this committee, and I'm not out here alone, you know? So I'm good. I'm ready to march.
Thank you for that, Will. Definitely really appreciate that. And, you know, it's just crazy, Tina, how, you know, Will is speaking about, you know, the trauma that he was able to, you know, tap into, where as a man, you know, we dealing with this, we got it. But when we tapped into how we started moving because of certain racial things that happened to us in our path, is just amazing how, you know, he was able to find that in that 8 months of engagement. So talk to me, Tina, how's your experience in this 8 months, you know, coming from another system, you know, and your work. So talk to me.
Hey, Audrey. So thank you so much. I think for me, and I think a few people said it during the time now and before we went live, is really just changed my perspective and challenged me to really listen and hear. So I appreciated all the stories. I remember William's stories and that others have shared throughout the 8 months that we have. But I think it really renewed for some of us, and you know, the reflection of that, you know, it's really easy just to kind of leave things at the status quo, and that through hearing the stories and having the conversations and really talking about how important it is for all of us to take this on, to look at what we represent, where we're coming from, those that are in the rooms with us, and the organizations we work for. And all of those present their own kind of challenges. I really appreciate the relationships that we've made over the last 8 months. I echo, I think it was what William just said, that we've all expanded our circle of friends and people that I know that we can reach out to, whether we've connected on personal levels or professional levels, or just in our dedication to making good change and moving forward. I think for me, this is a new conversation. For me, I know I still have work to do for myself and professionally, and as I move forward in making change. But this group sort of, I was always amazed, we had those 2 hours and they flew by every time we met. And I think it was one of those because we all had that sort of collective excitement about being motivated and changing. And I think it goes back to listening and hearing, and being open to what everyone had to say. So I'm excited. I had fun. I'm sad, and till next time, I guess, too. So I'm looking forward to that, but I definitely am leading the group, or gained from the group, a sort of a renewed sense of responsibility to take with me, like whether that's personal or professional. So I appreciate that from all of you. Thank you.
No, thank you too. And thank you for, once again, continuously coming back and your commitment. Another young lady that joined us, Jamila, share with us, because as another individual that tracked with us for 8 months, and I know the ups and downs that you had to go through to make that commitment solid. I thank you for showing up tonight. And also I thank you for, being another, not just parent, but also leader in your community that really gave this opportunity to and a commitment. So talk to me about your 8 months of this experience.
I think that the experience, I think, as I shared maybe earlier, probably about maybe 4 or 5 months in, has been enlightening throughout. I've learned so much in the space that, and I think I might have even mentioned this in one of the sessions that we had. What I learned is that all of the things that I was thinking were real. So a lot of the thoughts that I had about the different systems that are in place to, to keep Black and brown people down, I always thought about it, and it always concerned me, and it's, in my headspace, but I never really realized that it was true. And I think through sitting through these sessions, I realized that, number one, I'm not the only one experiencing it. I also learned that, like, sometimes it's the unknown, right? So sometimes you don't even realize that these systems are in place. And so that's a part of the reason why maybe your growth is not moving, or you're not moving, or, our people are not moving in the space that we were moving. I thought that through, even, these past 8 months, I just kind of had an opportunity to learn so much from the individuals that were a part of this group and the realness of this group. Like, folks were not afraid to share. And a lot of the times, and I want to say, maybe it was Maggie who mentioned, like, when you go to those day workshops, no one's sharing. Everyone's just listening, but no one's sharing. And I feel like this was very impactful because it was a back and forth conversation throughout. And Altarese, you did an excellent job of, like, switching up the groups every time. So you may have seen someone that you had in the group before, but it was always a different perspective. And, like, even like some of the check-in activities that we did, it forced you to go outside of, or think outside of the box when you were responding, and really, like, kind of dig deep, as they say, for your responses or to anything that was happening within the group. I'm ready to continue with this work. I'm sorry, I have to look here. I'm ready to continue with this work. I've already started having conversations with friends and family, and I'm trying to figure out how I can bring it into my workplace with the youth that I'm working with, which I've had some one-to-ones with some of the students, and like I've been sharing, some of the experience from that with the students that I work with, because it's our reality, and the children need to know it because they're our future, and if they know it, they can work to affect change going forward. So that's my share. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for that. Definitely. Thank you for that. And thank you for your desire and commitment to bring it into your personal workspace and your professional space. So we definitely look forward in that energy. Aisha, talk to me. How was your 8 months journeying with us as we round out our evening with a couple more of our amazing members of this family? Share a little bit with us about your 8 months here.
Oh, goodness. It didn't even feel like 8 months because maybe because we only met every other week, but the time was well spent. It was very educational. It helped me feel comfortable more. Well, I'm normally comfortable, but it just made me feel okay with what I was thinking. Like somebody else said, it's like, yeah, I was thinking this stuff, but yeah, to actually have a group of people that I can relate and flow with nicely about it felt really good. And it should be how everybody feels in the world. I mean, you should not be uncomfortable or have a problem expressing yourself in a meeting like it was mentioned. I'm like, it shouldn't be that way where you have to have somebody else stand up for you. It should be okay to express the things and work through them. But unfortunately, the world that we still live in is revolved around these systems. And somebody mentioned in Facebook about getting rid of about starting having a critical race theory classes, and I'm like, yeah, we need to really focus strongly coming 2021 on undoing racism, because race was, as we learned, it was a way to separate us. And we need to get away from that because we need to come together. This thing with the Haiti immigrants, this really just showed even more that, we just need to focus better and do better. I mean, we see our history, and it's like we're supposed to learn from our history, not make the same mistakes over and over again. So doing this racial equity accountability committee was definitely worth my time. It was worth my investment, my sacrifices from dealing with little people on a regular basis. It was everything that I needed to do with my time, and I want to continue doing because I am a community advocate. I love to learn more about anybody and everybody to some degree because we need to all get along. And that's my bottom line at some level or another. It's us communicating better, more effectively with each other, and being okay with having differences of opinions. As long as we can work past that, we're good. So I appreciate everyone that I like Jamila was saying, how we shifted rooms and we were mixed up often. It was good to know and get to know each person and their personal stories and stuff, because that's like like if we know somebody, like their background and what their likes are and interests are, that's like the beginning of a friendship. So we made friends in these 8 months that we talked to outside of the meetings, and we even got a group now so we can chat even after this journey. So it's not an ending journey. This is a friendship that started 8 months ago, and we're going to continue this friendship. And I love the idea that everybody is on board with continuing this friendship. So excuse me if I get a little teary-eyed, but this was definitely, oh my goodness, such an amazing experience. Thank you, Altrice and Heather, for coming up with this collaboration for us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for like I said, continuing this journey, continuing this roller coaster ride of feelings and emotions, knowledge, and as we keep moving, I really thank you guys for seeing what this really was. Because Gage, you can help me out as we really wanted to wrap this around relationship, storytelling, really bring some structure to strategies that could come from amongst us. This is the power. People, resources. That's the power. So we got that. Relationship, storytelling, structured strategy. Now get into that action is what it's going to be about. So Gage, talk to me about your 8 months, my friend.
Thank you, Alterice. The last 8 months have changed me profoundly. It's allowed me to feel more confident navigating the difficult and often uncomfortable topic of systemic racism. it's really exciting for me to be able to share the insights, strategies to improve racial equity and inclusion with my friends, family, and other professionals. I feel learning and growing with all of you, the committee members, has not only made me more effective as a professional, but also just overall a better human being. I'm grateful for the experience everyone shared. I really want to thank Heather and you, Al-Therese, for affording me this opportunity to explore who I am at a much deeper level than I really expected at the beginning of this journey. And everyone else in this committee, thanks for all of your vulnerability and for sharing your personal experiences, both difficult and beautiful. I feel I'm much more equipped to empathize with people of color and have open conversations about difficult topics. I feel really grateful and glad to have a group of people who are passionate about diversity and inclusion, who I know will be in my life beyond these meetings. I've learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for your authentic self and coming back month after month with that energy and with that spirit. And it's ironic because one of the people that's coming up next, is an example of such commitment and dedication. So, Ms. May, share with the group, this 8 months, of togetherness, of community, of what, as you see, is in front of us, somewhat of a family that's building together.
Good evening, everyone. I am just so thankful. I was just sitting and listening to everyone's response about our time together. I just wanted to say that this was humanity at its best. And the reason why I said it was humanity at its best is because we were able to come here and to express ourselves in good and in bad times. And then we were also able to stay together and we didn't run away from our feelings and our thoughts and our beliefs. And I just want to thank you for that. I also am very excited because I know if Martin Luther King was here today and he saw how we came together and gathered, he would be so excited because we are coming together with different races, different backgrounds, and he would say, yes, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. So I was just sitting back and I was saying, this is just awesome. And even in our difficult times, in the times when we felt that, really overwhelmed, because it took me to a place like 50 years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, I still have these feelings inside. And I thought that I had, put that away and that I'm okay. But they came up again. But I'm just so thankful that it was a safe place and it was a great place. And you will always be a part of me forever and ever. Thank you to Heather, Al-Therese, and to all of my beautiful family, all different colors, sizes, and shapes, ages. It doesn't matter. We're all family. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. May. Definitely. Thank you so much for that. And, I want to bring another person in to share their experience too, because as we were blessed with getting this opportunity of sharing it in Passaic County, we also had so many opportunities to have people, today we have so many opportunities to see people get this opportunity of what we traveled through. So Erica, if you can share your 8 months of this journey, working with this group of people who are now understood to be family in this next journey of pushing change.
Thank you, Al-Therese. So my journey with the Racial Equity Council has been nothing but rewarding, and beginning with our relationship building that we did in the beginning. We've all touched each other on some level or another. We definitely have a vested interest in creating change, the change we want to see in the world. And, we went through lots of emotions like we touched on, and A lot of that has I've learned that has stemmed from the historical trauma that we've been through and that we carry throughout our lives. And it's now time to release that. We're learning, a lot of Black and Brown people are now on that journey to release those traumas that we have, and to continue to grow. So I thank you all for drying my tears at times. I had some, and I appreciate you guys all for your empathy and your love that you shared with me throughout the journey of these last 18 months. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you too, Erica, for that commitment and that dedication, and seeing just what this is, and that's an opportunity to really work and meet new people. And now we're in a position where us new people have formulated energy that is up to us to continue to push. And Victoria, as we come to the last group of people that's going to share, and I want to thank everybody that shared openly, everybody that shared so tremendously. Talk to me about your 8 months, and and not just your 8 months, but you shared that 8 months with somebody. So I want to thank you for your time and also their time that they spent with us. And to talk about your 8 months, my friend.
Yes, thank you, Altrice. Yeah, so this 8 months has been, extremely eye-opening for me. I think Maggie kind of hit the nail on the head for me when we go to all these trainings about cultural equity and being multicultural, but they're just trainings, and that's what they are. And this committee really helped me through all of you guys, and I thank you through sharing your personal experiences and your shared experiences really helped me truly understand, how I can change my own behaviors as well as be the change in my community that I want to see. And it also is helping me as, a future parent, which Altrice just kind of referenced. It's helping me, figure out how to guide this new little person in this world to be somebody who is going to be supportive of everybody and anybody, regardless of, race, culture, gender, anything. So I really appreciate everybody and everybody's learned experience, or everybody's sharing on these meetings, because, just like Gage said, it's definitely made me a better person. Without you guys, I wouldn't have developed the insights I did over these 8 months. So thank you.
Victoria, thank you too for being a champion and really, continue through this, through the ups and downs of this too, because obviously that was affecting you holistically, and I thank you for continuing to come, because your desire to keep doing this during what you personally were going through really touched me as a young man who I've been through things with my mom. To see that you really had a lot of other things going on and you stuck and stay committed to us, I thank you for that. And as we tell it to my sister, Heather, before we get to you, I gotta go to the one, the only, a friend, a strong woman who definitely I had the opportunity to speak to outside of this group too. And I want to thank her for her 8 months and her journey. And I want to turn it over to my sister Debbie as she shares with us her 8 months in this journey. And then we'll give it back to my sister Heather as we come to a wonderful 2.5 hours, but an hour, for you guys that's watching us. But we've been doing this work behind the scenes. So Debbie, how's your 8 months? And you're on mute.
Thank you. Like I said, good looking out. Two things tonight. Just thank you, Altrice, and when we opened up or came together tonight, I said that I had a bevy of emotions that I had not anticipated with this coming, this phase of our work together coming to a pause. Miss May said tonight, like, this is the best of humanity. And I thought that was such a great caption, "This is the best of humanity." And we know with that, the challenges of making humanity better is what's at hand. And so when we talk about undoing racism and the work surrounding anti-racism, um, in the collective, it comes with a tremendous burden for those of us who are willing to step forward and pick up the mantle and go forward. It has been an absolute pleasure in working with each of you. Everyone has referenced how we've grown individually, personally, and professionally. I think about one of our segments on being gatekeepers, and that stays with me because it empowers each of us to do the work. It's often not popular. It comes with a lot of risk, meaning, is it going to take food off of your table? Is it going to turn off your lights? Is it going to compromise the well-being of your families because of the risk that you take in undoing the very thing that has impacted all of our lives in a negatively profound way? Coming into that realization, it's just blessed me to partner with a bunch of courageous people. And so I'm delighted to have spent the last 8 months and looking forward to an eternity of time and being change agents with each of you. Um, Alterice, I appreciate you so much. I think we have connected, and this is definitely for a lifetime. And my love for Heather and the Growing Edge goes with, I can't even capture what I truly feel about her and um, the work that she is committed to. So thank you all.
Well, thank you too. Definitely thank you too. And, obviously, last but definitely not least, and is, the young lady that's seen the vision to partner up with organic energy and really see how that mesh could turn into this opportunity of togetherness. So Heather, how's your 8 months been?
I'm just, I'm looking at all of our faces and just really taking in all the words that y'all have shared. And I don't know, I don't know if I have like words to express like the impact, but just to see the shifts and the impact and the learning and the connection and the growth and the vision of what is happening is really, really moving and inspiring. And, it's like, I don't know who was saying it before of like, oh, like sometimes it's like the meeting is about to happen. It's like, oh, I don't know, and like, sometimes I feel like that too. It's like, I would just rather just like swipe on my phone and like check out, because there's been a lot going on this year and last year too. And it's really easy to check out. And the same has been for me is, like showing up with y'all and within a few minutes, I'm like, oh, this is why I'm here. Like these people are giving me life, and like we're connecting with each other and we're talking about real stuff. And it makes me feel alive and connected and in touch with my purpose, and in touch with my humanity and in touch with y'all. So I am so grateful. I'm so proud of y'all. I'm so looking forward to see what happens next, how we can move together, how we can support each other. Yeah. What about you, Alterice?
Said, I'm excited. I'm proud that, when we set off to do this, we really just walk with the faith that there are like-minded people out there and that we just had to do the work, because this started at 50. you know, and it's down to this strong 16 individuals who really want to see something go forward. So I'm ecstatic. I am a man that's been through a lot in my life. You guys know my story. Others do too. Yet, most importantly, is I feel and know and believe there's hope for my children. There's a destiny for my grandchildren. There's an opportunity for there to be a country that can be great for real. Not again, but just for real. And I understand that this type of energy is going to breed that. And and I'm not, you guys know I'm not even short on words, but I am right now because I'm just filled up with all that you guys shared tonight and all that you guys are sharing that you're going to do going forward. So please take this back to your institutions, your organizations, your churches, your civic sectors, your private sectors, your public sectors, all those sectors of community. Please go back and not be bashful, not be shameful, to speak what you know. You know, that's one reason why I've been able to be here for 16 years. I knew that I can keep going without having to go back the old way. And here I am. If I'd have went back the old way, I wouldn't be here, guys. So I had to find, learn, build, and do something new. It's possible. So guys, thank you.
So I just wanted to share real quickly, because I know we're looking for ways to continue to connect, right? And so for those of us here, and for anyone who might be watching the live stream or watching the replay, this is what we can, this is what we're looking at next this week on Thursday. So some of us in the group are going to offer more of a deeper conversation. So if you who is watching wants to attend, for those of us in this council who want to direct our friends, our family, our colleagues, anyone who is interested for a deeper conversation, we will put the link in the chat for people to sign up. We can email it to you, connect with us for a training, which is going to, you know, really reflect a lot of what we talked about tonight with those of us that are here, and support the organizing that Ashley is doing, who has come out of our collective. And this is something that, you know, we'd love to do for the rest of the council as well. So use this as a springboard for the work that you're doing, for conversations that you want to have. Use it as a, you know, a way to bring people into the conversation, and so that we don't have to stop, right? Because obviously we've just spent, you know, 2.5 hours saying of like how this is a meaningful connection, and so how we can build this knowledge. So yeah, so I'm just really proud of y'all, really grateful, really looking forward to what shifts and what synchronicities and what's the connection and next that's going to come out of this, because as we've all been saying, I know this isn't the end. This is just the beginning of the next chapter together. So I love y'all. Altrice, anything else that you want to say before we close out?
Nah, I'm good. Same expression. I got mad love for what we experienced and what we did. So thank you guys, and look forward to continuing on. And good night to everybody that tuned in, everybody that took the time to pay attention, and even some of the people who wasn't sure about what they thought they was going to hear and see tonight. We want to make sure you understand that it's a beloved community. All are welcome.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Family.
Take care. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. One last time. Heather B. Uncle Al. All right. Love you both. Love you all. Good
Love
night.
you guys.
Love you guys.
Thank you so much.
One day we need to plan that we all go out to eat somewhere.
Yeah,
Plan.
Bad idea.
we could
Bring
plan it in
that
the
credit card
Facebook
with
group.
Huh? They say
Yeah.
I'll go out. They say everybody say
Bring
I'm
that
out to
credit
eat.
card
What you
with
say?
you. Bring the big wheel credit card with you.
I got you, brother. It'd be a light meal, but I
Okay.
got you.
Listen, baby.
Do it.
I got you. You're gonna be at the diet that day.
I got the tip.
That's right.
The vegan diet. Oh
But
man.
we definitely got to
Thank you.
do that. We definitely got to get up and go somewhere out to eat. Everybody, the whole group.
That would be
I
awesome.
love that.
Yes. All right. Talk to you later.
All
All
right.
right, bye
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Thank you again, Heather, and
So much love.
Altuğ.
I miss you, Maggie. I miss you, Debbie. Love you guys.
What are we gonna do on Tuesday night? Go out to dinner.
I love it.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.
Good night.